I really wanted to make this video for you guys because I have been struggling with these progesterone and oil injections. The first few days were miserable for me. Actually, the first week was terrible. I was so sore every day, like crippling sore, to the point where like it was really hard for me to walk. I couldn't even climb stairs, and I just had to fight through the pain basically because I still work full time. Now I've been on these PO or PIO, however you want to say it, injections for now going on 3 weeks. And I feel like I've picked up on some like tricks that I've used to help these progesterone injections a little less painful for me and a little bit easier. By the way, I am giving them to myself. I can't trust my husband to do that for me because he's deathly afraid of needles and passes out with every flu shot he gets. So I also have some tips for you guys if you are doing your own progesterone injections also. PSA, I am recording this video the day before I find out my pregnancy results. I did that on purpose because I don't want to give away whether my pregnancy results are negative or positive. So I have no idea whether I'm pregnant or not. I have no idea whether the transfer worked or not. I find that out tomorrow. So of course, if the transfer worked, if I'm pregnant, I will continue on these progesterone injections. So I just didn't want to give that piece of information away. I'm keeping all of that private until I am ready to announce my pregnancy results. So the whole goal of this video is to help you guys out with your injections. If it can help you have less pain, then I did my job with this video. By the way, if you're coming across my channel for the first time, welcome. I upload 1 to 2 videos a week all about living healthy. Of course, recently it's all been about IVF because this journey has been pretty intense. It's been the most difficult time in my life, so I wanted to record it and share it with you guys, also document it for myself. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and watching, and I hope this video helps. My regimen for my progesterone injections is I have to do it every single day, intramuscular in the butt. Some people have DM'd me and said, oh, I just have to do it every other day. You guys are so lucky, you have no idea. Because what I'm finding is that when I inject one side, that stays sore for more than a day. Because then I switch sides the next day and do it on the other side. But then when the time comes to do it on the other side, that side has not healed yet. And so I'm injecting into a sore muscle. So it's just been miserable, but I feel like my body has now kind of adjusted, especially because I picked up on some tricks that I'm gonna tell you right now. First thing that has helped me tremendously with the pain, especially just on injection, is this B-Numb cream. I got it through my fertility pharmacy, but I did find a link online that I will put down below in the description box that you can purchase it if you want to. It was $75 through my fertility pharmacy. I think it's about that much online. It's a little bit pricey. It's because it has lidocaine, benzocaine, so a bunch of numbing agents in this cream. So you can use ice instead of this B-Numb cream. I actually haven't used ice yet because this works really, really well for me. It is a cream, and what you'll do is you'll just put it on the injection site, and you'll need to leave it there for at least 30 minutes because it takes about 30 minutes for the lidocaine to numb up the skin, and it does kind of penetrate right under the skin too, because I find that when I inject into the muscle, I'm not really feeling much pain at all. If you didn't want to buy this, you can use ice. Either one. Ice works and B-Numb cream works. Just use something before you inject into the muscle because it can really, really hurt. If you decide to use ice, I do recommend you use something like a bag of peas instead of like an actual ice pack because the peas will mold to your skin. If you want to buy something on Amazon, I did find a little ice pack that I saw a few people on YouTube using, and it's like a gel ice pack. So it's got fabric on one side so you don't like freeze or burn your hands when you're putting it on your skin, and then on the other side is the gel. And so what happens is when you freeze this like ice gel pack, it freezes all the way, but it doesn't become hard. It's still jelly. So it molds to your skin really nicely. And it's about, I think, this size. So you can fit it really nicely in your pants, and it'll numb up the area and just stick it in your pants. Your pants will hold it up, and you can like go about whatever you're doing for 30 minutes while it ices your skin. So either this or ice, just make sure you use one or the other because otherwise it's probably gonna be pretty painful. What's cool about that gel ice pack I just told you about, you can also put it in the microwave to heat it up for afterwards, so I'll get to that. Next tip that I have for you guys is to warm up the progesterone oil ahead of time. Because it's an oil, that oil has a tendency to like get really thick when it's cold. So just warm it up under your armpit. That's what I do. Some people like put it in their bra, but just under my armpit works best for me. I used to put the whole vial underneath my armpit, but I actually found that drawing it up with the needle, like so draw up your 1 ml first and then put it under your arm, this actual syringe under your arm, and then go about whatever you're you're doing. It fits really nicely under my arm, and you only need to do it for like 2 minutes. I do it for 5 just to make sure the oil is really warmed up before injecting. If you don't do that, the oil is so thick when you inject that it can hurt your muscle even more. So it just helps the ease of injecting the medication into the muscle, helps your muscle absorb it faster. If you didn't want to put the syringe under your armpit, you can just put the whole vial under your arm. Same thing, whatever you want to do with that, but just make sure you warm it up ahead of time. So my pharmacy sends me a whole bunch of these syringes, and it already comes with a big needle on it. This needle is meant for drawing up the medication. They've also sent me the needles to inject. So this needle already attached to the syringe is meant to draw up the medication, and then the smaller needle is meant to inject. Now, I think some pharmacies will send you with already the 22 gauge needle already attached, and that's fine too. You can draw it up with a 22 gauge needle, but just make sure that when you are injecting, you are using a 22 gauge needle and nothing bigger. The needle that's attached to this one is an 18 gauge needle. So just FYI, the lower the number on the needle, the bigger the needle is. That's kind of backwards in the medical world. So this is an 18 gauge needle. This is a 22 gauge needle. Make sure you use a 22 gauge needle or smaller. I believe you can use a 25 gauge needle to inject into a muscle, but it's not really recommended because it's pretty small and it'll take like forever for you to like get that medication in through a really small needle. So 22 gauge is preferred. Okay, there we go. Most 22 gauge needles are gray. They're like, have that like gray cap. And then I'll show you the difference on this one. I don't know if you can kind of see, but an 18 gauge is pink and the needle is a lot thicker. And so it's gonna really hurt if you use this bigger needle. After you've numbed up the site with cream or ice, and then you've warmed up your oil, either drawn up already or you've warmed up the vial underneath your armpit, then draw up the medication if you haven't already with your 18 gauge needle, switch it to the 22 gauge needle if you haven't already, or if you drew it up with the 22 gauge needle, that's totally fine. Just use that 22 gauge needle. Then if you're doing it on yourself, this is where some of my tips come in and tricks that I've used. Make sure that you're standing in front of a full-length mirror. I have this one that I've used quite a bit, but I also have my bathroom mirror that kind of, it's not full length, but it goes down to like my thigh area. So my whole butt I can see in the mirror. So just make sure you can see your whole butt. I've also seen some people like mark the site with a marker where they want to put it. I don't do that because I use the cream. I already know where I'm gonna go and I don't need like to mark the site, but that's pretty helpful if you want to be specific on where you want to inject so you don't lose track of where you're going. So either use cream for the site, mark the site, whatever you want to do, just make sure you know where you're going on the injection. Another tip is make sure that when you're going to put the needle in your skin, that the needle is at a 90-degree angle. Don't angle it like from the side. That's what I was doing the first couple days, is like I thought I was going right at a 90-degree angle, like right in straight, but I was actually going off to the side a little bit, and that was rubbing with the muscle fibers and causing me to be super sore. So just make sure you're going like right in, straight in at a 90-degree angle. If somebody's doing it for you, then they're gonna automatically just go straight in, and that's the whole point, is for somebody, it's ideal if somebody does it for you because they're just gonna go straight in at a 90-degree angle. But if you're doing it on yourself, you have a tendency to kind of go at an angle a little bit, and that's gonna cause more soreness the next day. And actually, it does hurt more when you inject that way. My next big tip if you're injecting yourself is to make sure you don't have any of your weight on the leg that you're injecting. So if I'm doing it on my right butt, just make sure your weight is shifted to your left leg, because that way you know your butt muscle is relaxed and it's not tense from you standing on it. The more relaxed your butt is, the more relaxed the muscle is, the less sore you're gonna be the next day, and the less it's gonna hurt when it goes in. If you are standing up and somebody is doing it in a standing position, same thing. Just make sure your weight is not on that muscle that you're using to inject. If you're doing it laying down, then that's not a problem. By the way, speaking of laying down, I did watch a bunch of YouTube videos on people's progesterone shot experiences before I started mine, and some people did mention that laying down hurt more than standing up. So if you're struggling with the injection really hurting and you're laying down and somebody's doing it for you, maybe try standing up. The other person injecting you might be like a little bit awkward. He or she might have to like bend down to do it, but it might hurt a little bit less if you actually stand. Just make sure that you don't have any weight on that leg. My next tip is when you actually do inject, make sure you go quick. So when you put the needle into the muscle, make sure you're just just going really, really fast, as fast as you can, kind of like a dart, because if you go slow, like the first couple times I was so scared and I was going really slow into the muscle and my muscle was spasming, because muscles of course aren't meant to be poked, and it's just like feeling it more if it's slower. So just go right in really fast as you can. And then once you're in, aspirate a little bit, make sure you're not in any blood vessels, and then push that progesterone medication in as fast as you can. The slower you do it, the more you're gonna feel it. So just push it in really, really fast and then draw out. And sometimes you do bleed, that's okay. Just get like a little gauze or tissue. I use paper towel and just put pressure on the site. Which brings me to my next point is, once you've injected, immediately start massaging the site. I have my husband do it because he's at a better angle to just massage that area. Really get in there and massage that injection site, get that oil into the muscle. Massaging helps get that oil into the muscle and have the muscle absorb the oil faster. And I found that once I started massaging that area right after I injected the medication, that was a game changer. I was way less sore the next day. So maybe try that if you're struggling with a lot of soreness the next day. Make sure you massage the area right away. After you are done massaging the site, then immediately put heat on that area, either a heating pad or that little like ice pack I was telling you about earlier. Stick that in the microwave for however long the directions say, and then put heat on that site, because what heat does is it not only helps soreness for the next day, but it further helps the oil, the medication absorb into the muscle and then absorb into the body. So it really helps with soreness the next day. I just use this heating pad. It's super old. We've had it forever, but this works fine for me now. And because I don't use ice, I use the numbing cream. I haven't purchased that little ice pack / heating pack on Amazon yet. I just think that this really helps. And so I already had it on hand. And so I'm using it right away after I massage the site. And I use that time while I'm heating my butt to like be on social media and answer DMs and catch up on work and stuff like that. I try to keep heat on it for about 10 minutes, more like I do it for 15 to 20 minutes just because it feels good. And then after I'm done heating my site, then I like to put it on my body because I think it's just so soothing. I did want to make a point about, if you're using ice to numb the site beforehand, make sure you put heat on that area right away, because you're injecting the oil into a cold muscle and that oil can coagulate really quickly and become cold, and that's how you get knots in your muscle. So just make sure if you're using ice to put heat very, very quickly, like immediately after you inject into the site, so that it'll prevent that oil from becoming hard and creating knots in your muscle. Don't mind my cat back there. She's always in these videos. And of course, she's got to clean herself too. And then lastly, a lot of times I've taken Tylenol before I even do my medication, because I think it just helps overall with the injection and then the after effects. So Tylenol has really been my lifesaver. Sometimes I'll use it after the injection because I'm just so sore all the time. Tylenol has been really helping me. My fertility clinic has instructed me not to take any like NSAIDs. So no ibuprofen, no Motrin, like no Advil, none of that, because it can cause bleeding. So Tylenol is probably safest if you need some sort of like oral pain medication. So yeah, don't be afraid to take Tylenol because it really does take the edge off. At least it has for me. All right, so those are all my tips and tricks on how I do my progesterone injections and what has helped me get through them, have them be less painful, and overall like a little bit better experience. For those of you going through progesterone injections or are about to go through them, I hope this video helps you out. I hope that you have less pain by using these tips and tricks. And comment down below if you've done anything differently that has helped you out. And just remember too that if you're going through these progesterone injections, they are not easy and most people cannot get through them. So if you're doing it or about to do it, you guys are so strong, you're awesome. Sending you guys all the baby dust, positive vibes. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it because it does really help support my channel, and you know the drill. Always remember to be kind to yourself.